Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 22 My Team career mode. This is episode number 27 today for the Miami Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous one at Imola, then be sure to go check that one out, because that was a rather spicy one with the sprint and the Grand Prix, of course, and the sprint was a bit less than ideal, as you can probably guess by the actual thumbnail of that last episode, but the Grand Prix was a pretty darn good comeback. It was another great day in the office for the team, with Albon getting a third podium in a row for the team, and was his back-to-back podium, obviously, from the Australian Grand Prix into that one. And it was for the first time Verstappen was able to actually defeat Lewis Hamilton this season. Hamilton, the first race he has not won this season. But now, going into Miami, one of the newer circuits on the F1 calendar, this is going to be the real litmus test, I think, this season for where our car truly stacks up. Because this time last season, this was when we really realize how bad the AI, OP, slipstream, and straight line speed is. And this was a place where we got our pants pulled down, basically, on the last sector. Although we did get a safety car last season to spice it up, we can't, guarantee that this season. So if all thing kind of, everything stays the same, this really will be a really great test to just see where our car stacks up. Are we actually knocking on the door of Red Bull and mixing it up with Mercedes and Ferrari, etc.? Before we go into the race weekend, though, considering our HQ upgrades, because we do have over $12 million to spend, so I was really tempted by another personnel upgrade there. The simulator for the kind of the second level of the simulator to boost the pace of any teammate that we have in the future. Cost $6 million, though, so that's quite hefty. And then I started to kind of consider, well, how much does it cost us to get to level 3 on maybe the chassis side of things? Because we are already, I can see in a couple upgrades time, we're going to get to that bottleneck where we need spec 3. So I thought, you know what, now let's play the smarter game. We can afford the upgrade right now, 12 million. We're going to get down to a very low amount of money now, but we're actually at a stage now where we're earning a really healthy amount of money every single race. So we should be fine for example, to re-sign Albon at the halfway contract point, and then also then look to do a personnel upgrade, because I don't think we're going to need level 3 on every department this season. I think that will come in Season 3. I think this season is still very much that intermediary building season. Even though we are pretty high in the R&D chart, the standings look very complimentary. I still think in my mind, my mentality for this season is it's the building year to be ready to take on a full title fight over the course of a season in Season 3. At least that's where my head is at and where I feel like we are. So to that point, we continue to plow on up with upgrades. We've got over 2,000 R&D points. The upgrades for the aero are quite expensive, 1,600 for the front aero, and then 1,500 for the rear one to balance that out. We're going to have to wait until we go through the practice programs to be able to afford that probably at the start of next episode. So right now we just have the front downforce pending, but with all the activity timeline boosters that we've got, Albon is now 91 rated overall, 32 focus, so that is a bit up from his previous focus, but it's still so low. But like I've said before, if we look through the whole driver market, all the focuses are all in red. They're all so low, they're all a bit broken. So yeah, I'm really hoping that that Cody's are looking into that for the next patch, and that it will apply to current career modes. I hope it's not a thing that you have to, start a new career mode for it to be fixed, because, right now it's not ideal. It's very hard to tell from that driver market, why certain AI are doing well or not, and it's hard to then explain to you guys maybe why we're seeing what we're seeing in the races. But anyway, I digress. We now move into the race weekend and confirm where we are in the R&D chart, and we have got even further ahead of Ferrari and Mercedes. Look how close we are to the senior team, Red Bull. We are so close to Red Bull. So one more upgrade that we've got pending right now, and we could be the best car in the grid somehow. Ferrari are now actually ahead of Mercedes by a small margin, as well as McLaren. You can see Alfa Romeo and Williams slightly improving. So it's a very tight-knit group there, with Alpine, McLaren together, I think Mercedes, Ferrari, and then the rest of the cars as well. There's not really a back marker. It's kind of all just very close fighting all the way down to P22, which is rather exciting. But for us, this is, like I said, this is a real test here at Miami now, because on paper, we should be, maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 tenths off Red Bull by the looks of that R&D chart, but this is the real test. In reality, are we actually that close to them? Let's find out. We're now into Q1, and things don't start off in the best way possible for our team. because as I exit the pit lane for our first flying lap, yellow flags because Albon is going slow. He's got no front wing, and he's going very, very slow indeed, and he's actually out of this session, as is Lando Norris in the same fashion. Both of them without a front wing, both of them going slowly in the first part of the lap. I'm now on my flying lap there, so Lando actually retiring was a bit of a distraction whilst I started this qualifying lap. But both Albon and Norris out of this session, and we went back and looked at the replay here because I paused it just then and just watched back what happened. So this is what happened to Norris. Out the pit lane, the Haas came and actually went into his racing line. So I think someone must have hit Albon as they came out the pit lane and broke his front wing, and for whatever reason, both Lando and Albon's AI decided to, you know, retire. Like that was a session-ending kind of bit of damage for them on the front end there. So massive shame. So already we're on the back foot. We don't know what Albon could do in our car around here. We know what we can do, and that is get up into Q2. But you can see on P11 there, you know, I just think this is now really annoying because I feel like Albon would have really shown where the car was, because if he was up in P4, I know I'm not that great around Miami if I look back to Season 1. So I feel like he would have been out-qualifying us, outperforming us. So now we don't really know where he's going to be, because there you go, he DNF'd, Lando Norris DNF'd, so they're both out of Q1, and it's just one sole car here on our team, just me, left to do the job into Q2. Can we even get through into the top 10 shootout here? I think things are so competitive. The new handling models made the AI even more overpowered in some ways, so this might be a bit of a challenge, and it's a bit of a daunting one because, yeah, it's just me now here out on this circuit, this very difficult technical circuit. And at least, you know, if Albon was here out qualifying us, at least that would give me some hope of I know where the car could be in theory and where I could try and aim for. But right now, it's a stab into the dark. I don't know where we're aiming for. I don't know how much pace I've got in the car. And we're just trying to go around and extract as much time as we can. Across the line, though, we do get through into the top 10 shootout. It's actually a pretty damn handy lap. But Ricciardo with a monstrous lap time there. Whilst his teammate was DNFing in Q1, he's out here in P1 there ahead of Hamilton. Mick Schumacher very lofty in the Haas, as both Haas cars get through as well, with only one Ferrari of Leclerc featuring the two Red Bulls. And then again, Sebastian Vettel doing a stonking job in an Aston Martin, which is in the bottom 2 of the R&D chart. He's just doing absolute bits. It's kind of a shame, you know, we couldn't sign him, because obviously we did, you know, I was happy to sign Albon, but we obviously did try to sign Sebastian Vettel, and this is why, because he's doing such a great job still of out qualifying that Aston Martin in positions it shouldn't be in. And speaking about people that shouldn't be here, Latifi in the Williams is in the top 10 shootout as well. He's out qualified Magnussen of all people here. So GOATIFI is here in the top 10 shootout. The sun's coming down here in Miami. It's a little bit overcast, I want to say, as well, in many aspects. So actually, maybe the track is cooling a tad, or maybe that's just the sun being so low now at the end of the Saturday as we wind through the last sector and then the final corner, that slingshot onto the main straight. What's this going to be from P10 up to P3? Right now, Leclerc P2, Perez on provisional pole, but by the end of the session, everyone else is able to improve so much. It's actually a really topsy-turvy session because of all people, Leclerc is on pole position. Carlos Sainz, his former teammate at Ferrari, is in second place alongside him in a Haas now. So even though they kicked him out of Ferrari, they can't stop him getting the front row lockout for the previous Ferrari pair. That's quite amazing, actually, that Sainz is there. But also, even so, because of the season Leclerc and Ferrari had, the fact they've got a pole position, could this be finally the kickstart and turnaround they need to jumpstart their season? Because on paper, they shouldn't be this horrendous as they have been this season. You know, they should still be there with Mercedes, and yet they've had such a shocker, scoring hardly any points. So the fact they've got pole is a massive thing now for tomorrow's race. Verstappen in third place. Hamilton was out-qualified by us down in P9. I didn't even realize that Russell didn't even make it through into the top 10 shootout. So that's a major plot point for Verstappen versus Hamilton. Hamilton. Hamilton down in P9 in the traffic. Verstappen from P3 could have a good shot of attacking Sainz and Leclerc, so that's going to be a big positive for Red Bull and Verstappen to come back even further in the Drivers' Championship. And then it's got to be said, me, Hamilton, Vettel and Schumacher, we've all been out-qualified by Nicholas Bloodly Latifi in P6 in the Williams. What on earth has gone on there? What a time from him. We're so far off the pace room. Like I said, a very wacky Q3 with some very weird simulation time. So, yeah, it's beginning to be a bit an odd one post-patch life here, I must say, after patch 1.06. But let's go to the race then. We're in P8, and Albon is way down in P16, so maybe quite a hard race ahead of ourselves. But let's see how we do. Let's go to the grid.
Welcome to the Magic City. We are here at the Miami International Autodrome, the home of the Hard Rock Stadium, a multi-purpose sports and entertainment hub which has hosted Super Bowls, Baseball World Series, numerous rock concerts, and now, for the first time, Formula One. With great opportunities for wheel-to-wheel battles featuring 19 corners, 3.36 miles long, and expected average speeds of 138 miles per hour, the Miami International Autodrome will be sure to create lots of chances to overtake. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who will start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Latifi, Mick Schumacher and Sainz. The owner-driver, Hamilton, Vettel and Valtteri Bottas. Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, George Russell and Gasly. Perez, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Albon, Guan Yu Zhou and Lando Norris. Ocon, Drugovich, Stroll and Yuki Tsunoda. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Anthony Davidson, what types of strategy do you think we can expect for today's event?
Well, there's a lot that both the driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. Tyres, fuel, energy recovery systems, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
This Miami Grand Prix is going to be a test, not just for our team, like I said, but a lot of people. You know, Leclerc on pole position. What can he do? Can he actually kickstart Ferrari's season? It's a shame for Sainz. He actually had a 5-place penalty, so he doesn't start on the front row. Verstappen now starts alongside him, so big test for him. Can he now go and attack Leclerc and win another race back-to-back here this season to really take the fight and come back against Lewis Hamilton in the championship? What can Latifi do from P4 on the second row? What can GOATIFI do in the Williams? Vettel in P9. Hamilton, can he make his way through? And then obviously Albon and Lando way down after those DNFs in Q1. So many challenges, so many questions, and people that need to prove themselves in this race, and some things that need to be tested. Here we go then to the Miami Grand Prix as we go to 5 red lights, and we are underway for 29 laps of what could be a very difficult race. It's a good start for us though into turn 1 though. No space to go on the inside there. I kind of saw the door close on me. Instead we go to the outside, and that works out for us because we make a double overtake on both Haas cars. So actually some really good thinking to stay on the outside there rather than dive down the inside. And we're already now up into P5 behind Latifi. Leclerc's made a good getaway though in first place from Max Verstappen, and Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren in third place. Meanwhile I can see Albon up into P15 then already. Lando Norris still down in P18 in the other McLaren. A long day ahead of him. Hamilton and Russell P8 and P9. It was a real slow day in the office for the Silver Arrows on Saturday. Yesterday, what can they do in this race? Or will it be Leclerc versus Verstappen all race long, as it kind of has been in real life in the championship? For the first time here in Season 2, could we see these two again fighting as they were in Season 1? All I know is for sure the car's feeling a little bit better than it did in Season 1, for sure. But, you know, can I still make progress here? You know, we're now behind the Williams of Latifi. You know, in theory, we should be looking to overtake him and also chasing down Daniel Ricciardo. But at the moment, moment, you know, straight line speed-wise, I can already tell that they are pretty darn good down this straight once again off that slow left-hander. So let's see how things progress. At the sharp end, on the end of lap 3, Verstappen with DRS on Leclerc. Could he go for a move? Leclerc goes defensive into the final few corners. Verstappen on the outside of that rather awkward left-hander that tightens up so much. Leclerc nearly squeezes Verstappen into the wall, but the Dutchman keeps his foot down. The reigning double world champion now goes through into the lead of the Miami Grand Prix. It's a fantastic overtake on the outside, effectively, that last corner complex there, and Leclerc has to concede down to P2. Is that going to be the nail for Leclerc there, or can he keep up? It looks like he might do on the mini-map there. You can see Leclerc and Ricciardo are rather close together with Verstappen, as we are now rather close to Latifi here on lap 4, yet to overtake him. You know, for 4 laps, I'm being honest, there was nothing to show you. I literally couldn't actually make any sort of move on him until now, hopefully, with DRS activated down this straight. Not using too much ERS because I need to think about the third sector, but can we make a move on the outside? Latifi very defensive on the inside. Oh, he's locked up and gone straight on, and he's pushed us wide, and now we're down to P7 or 8 then. Hamilton on our outside then. Latifi has been overtaken by Carlos Sainz and is now in a Haas sandwich of Schumacher and Sainz, and we find ourselves in a Mercedes sandwich in between Hamilton and George Russell. It's all gone wrong. We tried to overtake Latifi, and he locked up and banged tyres with us and just sent us straight on there. I'm actually quite lucky not to have any damage maybe on the front wing at the kind of speed he came into us there. And now look at this, Russell gaining on us on this back straight, and he's going to go for a move maybe. It's a late lunge from our fellow Brit, and Russell has his nose in on the inside. We're going to just about be able to squeeze him, but now when you try and make a move into turn 1 perhaps, he's got DRS. We just about have DRS of Hamilton. Yes, we do, into turn 1, so it's calm right now, but Russell is right up our chuff and just rather frustrated then from that entire situation of trying to overtake Latifi and losing 3 places instead. But now lap 6 on to 7, we've got DRS. We're putting Hamilton under pressure. He's gone very defensive into the final corner. Can we go on the outside? No, he's going to maybe nearly hit the back of Schumacher instead, and we can't actually outbrake him. We're finding it really difficult under brakes to get the AI into that final bend. But now into turn 1, is this an opportunity? No, Hamilton again to the inside. This time he does dive down the inside of Schumacher there, and he's gone for a really audacious, a bit over aggressive move, and he's got Schumi. Now can we do the same and go on the outside a little bit less aggressive? Oh, Schumacher comes back at him. This is fantastic. Mick Schumacher and Lewis Hamilton really getting familiar with each other. Bit of contact either way, kind of, you know, calmer, balances out. You know, bit of contact with Hamilton, same for Mick on the next lap, so it's all fair enough, I guess. And in the end of it, we do make the overtake up into P7. Russell did as well. So Schumacher down to P9, and we can now recompose and go again to try and close back up to Hamilton, who is now closing up to Latifi. But in all of this, Latifi stayed ahead of all of us, apart from Carlos Sainz. Can we make a move now here? Lap 8 into the final sector, looking to go around the outside. Hamilton down the inside of Latifi, and Latifi locks up in the same way he did when he forced us wide, and now we're looking to make a double overtake maybe. No, can't quite get the move on Hamilton. Thought better of it. I thought if I kept my foot in on the inside there, 2 into 1 into that next left-hander was just never going to work before that Mickey Mouse chicane, so I just thought better of it. We got Latifi though, so we're up into P6. He was a bit of a bottleneck in that Williams car. The Williams was just so quick in a straight line that we just couldn't get him on these straights. It didn't matter if he was holding us up in the corners, so kind of glad that he locked up and we got that pass. So now we can try and focus on getting Hamilton as we go on to lap number 9 then, so about a third of the way gone of this race just about. And well, it's been a very tough old one to say we're just fighting for P5 here, but we can go on to fight for P4 with Carlos Sainz, and then we'll kind of, you know, see what the front 3 are saying. But right now, Russell behind looking to make a move on Latifi down the inside. It's a really hard-fought battle here between the Williams as Latifi goes to defend. They're side by side through the long right-hander. This is insane. Like, we've slowly seen Williams have been improving. You know, Magnussen was in a pretty good points-paying position in Australia, and yeah, they are definitely a bit higher in the R&D chart than they were last season. So this is the proof now. Latifi showing the Williams car is actually a pretty raceable car now. He's giving a good fight there. Meanwhile, as I said, we're both, myself and Hamilton, chasing after Carlos Sainz, and further down the road, Ricciardo pressurizes Leclerc, and then Verstappen is pulled about 3 seconds right now on them, and it's looked pretty damn comfortable ever since he overtook Leclerc so long ago now. On lap 3, was it? Is he now? Oh, he's gone slow! Oh, Verstappen's nearly put it in the wall! He's made a mistake. He's locked up, I think, and nearly got into the Tecpo barrier. Leclerc takes the lead from Ricciardo, and Verstappen's parked it up. Has he got a car issue, or is he just waiting for the cars to come by? There he is! Verstappen, the race leader, just parked up, and now this safety car is deployed. And that's horrendous timing, because me and Hamilton and Russell have just crossed the line. It's too late for us to come in for a pit stop straight away, so others behind us will come in, and I really hope they don't get the jump on us, as now Leclerc and Ricciardo are in, but Sainz continues on them. This is the next lap under safety car. Hamilton doesn't come in. I've come in. Russell has not come in. What is going on? So under this safety car, everyone barring Sainz, Hamilton and Russell have come in for that hard tyre pit stop, and we'll go to the end of this race. It's lap 12, so it's maybe a little bit early for the hard tyre, but because we're under the safety car, we'll stretch this compound a bit, you know, with 2 laps of being slow, and we should be able to get to the end, no problem. But for whatever reason, Sainz, Hamilton and Russell don't believe they can, and they've stayed out. They're still on the mediums they were on for the start of the race. Verstappen now is down in P8 behind Latifi. He's still in this race though, so no car issue. So I think he just parked up because he was worried about cars coming into contact with him, because it was a kind of precarious place, and that's why ultimately the safety car was called out. But massive drama here. The race leader, another high profile error from Verstappen on this game, in this career mode save of ours, from the lead of the race, locks up, nearly puts it in the wall, and so because of that, Carlos Sainz leads away this race in the Haas, ahead of Hamilton, who is yet to pit, obviously those two, and then Leclerc, Ricciardo, Russell, myself behind. Schumacher coming under pressure from Latifi there, it seemed like, I think, as we're now trying to apply pressure to George Russell on the end of lap 14, but I believe he may be coming in along with Sainz, along with Hamilton. So the Mercedes cars are double stacking on, not under a safety car, they're double stacking on the normal green conditions. What on earth are they thinking on the strategy pit wall there for the Silver Arrows? They've thrown away this race. They've thrown away Hamilton's potential points gain on Verstappen, because now Verstappen is in P6 on lap 18 here. He's still been stuck behind Latifi though for a fair few laps. This is, you know, for 3 laps later, and he's still behind the Williams car, but he's way ahead now. Hamilton down in 21st place, so Mercedes have thrown away their race versus Verstappen. But what a sight this is. Verstappen is unable to get past the Williams car. He's stuck behind him for another 4th lap as Piastri tries to overtake Sebastian Vettel. He goes swinging down the inside. It's a nice switchback move there from the Aussie man on the outside. Can he get to the inside? It's going to be a fantastic battle between these two, and Vettel will just slip ahead and maintain P7. But wow, seeing 2 AI commit side by side into there, that is not something I expected. There's a big train forming behind Vettel now as he holds up the entire field in a much slower Aston Martin car. Piastri going for it again. Verstappen going for a move on Latifi, and Latifi defends successfully, squeezes out the Red Bull, and he can't get him. Meanwhile, Piastri does get Vettel round the outside. Lovely move there for the man in Ferrari, but look at Verstappen. He's actually legitimately stuck now for a 4th or 5th lap. This is just showing that the Williams car well and truly is getting there. It's getting more speed, and in race conditions, very tough to overtake with that straight line speed it's got. Meanwhile, for us, bit of a mistake there in the last sector, loses us some time, and we were just about a second within Ricciardo, but now it's slipping away on lap 19 as we go further into this race. that gap is growing, and I'm just falling away and unable to really keep up with Ricciardo as he piles on relentless pressure on Leclerc. And on lap 20, and on lap 20, and on lap 21, well within a second with DRS there, Verstappen well within a second of Latifi, but still unable to overtake him. This has been now about 7 laps, I think. Can the Red Bull finally do it on the outside there? Oh, Latifi locks up and nearly careers into the back of Mick Schumacher, and this might finally be it. Verstappen around the outside of that right-hander will turn to the inside before that left-right, and he is going to be up into P5 eventually. And meanwhile, cutting back to the race leaders, here comes Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren, wheel-to-wheel, DRS open, and he's going to actually finish this move off, I think, to the final bend. He's going to get across onto the racing line to cover off and cut off Leclerc, and Ricciardo is now into the race lead at Miami with 8 laps to go. Are we about to see something very special? Because it's either going to be Leclerc for redemption for Ferrari or McLaren for the first time in a long while winning a Grand Prix here in Miami. Meanwhile, for us, holding down the P3 behind Schumacher is now the next car for Verstappen to overtake, and once he does, that may be quite tricky then, because a lot of clean air for Verstappen to chase after us. Meanwhile, his teammate Perez overtakes but then locks up into turn 1 as he has a ferocious battle with Kevin Magnussen, the other Williams. So right now it could be a double points finish for Williams as Albon is still trying to recover in this race in P13. What a shame for him, as we've said many times in on this game. With the AI getting stuck in traffic, it's very hard for them to undo that and recover, unfortunately. So Albon was always going to have a very tough afternoon as Verstappen makes a lovely overtake on the outside up into P4. He's got, what, 7 laps to go, 6 laps to go, and about 3.5 seconds to catch me. I think we could be in trouble sooner rather than later from the reigning champion. Meanwhile, Lando Norris fighting Kevin Magnussen up into P10, but he goes wide, and Magnussen may come back to snip at his heels. No, not quite, but, you know, giving a good old fight there, but Norris recovering up into P10, 1 point paying position. Vettel still in a very nice P8, Piastri P7, Latifi still very, very good in P6, I must say. Schumacher, like I said, Verstappen in P4, and it was only a matter of time because we cut on to now lap 26 on to 27 this will be. But before we even get onto lap 27, even though I'm using all my ERS, it's that familiar sight. Literally feels like deja vu from Perez overtaking us in Season 1 in this area of the circuit. Verstappen with DRS able to get us. We don't have anything to come back at him. You know, we've got a bit of ERS to save here onto the main straight. I thought I could maybe boost through and use DRS myself to gain back on him. But look at that. He just pulls away. He sets the fast lap of the Grand Prix whilst he does it. So I think that's the nail in the coffin for us getting a podium here in Miami. Verstappen just got way too much pace in the tank in that Red Bull, and it would have been a very easy win for him had it not been for that mistake. So we now move on to lap 28, and yeah, he's pulled away 2 laps and he's already pulled 1.4 seconds there on us. And so it's just up to us now to hold down P4. I mean, to be fair, with how difficult Miami is, I will take P4 because I thought we were going to get a lot worse here. So I will take P4. But Charles Leclerc is not going to sit down and take P2, and he's coming at Daniel Ricciardo at a rate of knots on the last lap of the Miami Grand Prix. Leclerc goes for a move for the race lead. McLaren versus Ferrari for the race win on the last lap. Ricciardo defends brilliantly on the inside and gets the elbows out and successfully stays ahead. It's only now a couple of corners, one final DRS straight. Can Leclerc do anything? Is his exit going to be good enough here? He's 4 tenths back, 3 tenths back now, but looks like Ricciardo actually got a pretty damn good exit. One last bit of DRS. This is it. Will Leclerc be able to do anything to stop Ricciardo winning this quite fantastic Miami Grand Prix? No, he cannot, as Ricciardo rounds the final bend. Can you believe it? The Miami Grand Prix belongs to Daniel Ricciardo in Season 2. McLaren win again in Formula 1, and Ricciardo is on the top step from Leclerc to Verstappen. For us, it's P4, a very, very solid P4. A tough day in the office, a chaotic Miami Grand Prix. That was a lot more fun than Season 1, for sure. But wow, oh wow, a last lap battle, like a legit battle, and Ricciardo comes out on top.
A phenomenal Miami Grand Prix. What a great show of skill from our race winners today. And talk to me. What do you think it was that sealed the win for them?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection. A shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
What an insane Miami Grand Prix, and it begs the question, if it hadn't been for that DNF and unfortunate Q1 incident, could have this could have been a double McLaren podium, maybe. I mean, I know Verstappen made that mistake and that allowed Ricciardo to be in that position to fight Leclerc, but if Lando was going to be there as well, maybe more pressure even, you know, it just could have been a very solid race for McLaren, even more so, but this is still a very solid race because they've bloody won, they've won the race. So how have they arrived? Is this the start of McLaren uptick in performance? I mean, they've still got some work to do apparently in the R&D shop, but in reality, that race place was bloody fantastic for Daniel Ricciardo. He attacked, overtook, and then kept the position on Leclerc even after he attacked him on the last lap of the Grand Prix. That was an insane shot though when Leclerc dived down the inside. That was awesome on the last lap to have Ferrari and McLaren side by side for the race win, but Ferrari, they still get a second place, so that's still a bit of a kickstart to their season maybe. Now, finally, 27 points on the board. So even though Latifi scored really well this race, Ferrari still overtake them in the Constructors' Championship, so overshadow a bit. For us, it's just a pretty solid race. Nothing too insane, nothing amazing though, and obviously it was a big shame for Albon to just be stuck in traffic the whole race long, but it is just an unfortunate Q1 incident that took him out of the Grand Prix. It is what it is. We move on and go to the next one, and hopefully both of us can have a strong one there and kind of further test where the car is, because it was hard to tell. I felt like our car was still not fully ready to fight those top cars, you know, especially the way, you know, Ricciardo and Leclerc pulled away from us and Verstappen gained on us. I'm just not convinced quite yet, but we march on. But that was a very chaotic and entertaining Miami Grand Prix, I must say. If you have enjoyed it, hit the like button, let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.